Welcome, fellow travelers, to Never Ending Adventure. We're throwing it back to the OG intro. I am Russell Dendel, the human.
And I'm Ned, and I'm a human, and you're a jerk.
Who's a jerk?
You are.
Donny, the
Fucking
grass
jerk.
ogre?
No, Russell's a jerk.
Why is Russell a jerk?
Because it's part of our ecosystem.
Okay, so I smell?
You smell, I attack you, and then Michael/DJ Cowboy Hat is the cosmic owl that eats us all at the end.
Sniff, sniff. Can you smell what the Russell is cooking? No, I am not a jerk, but I might be a safety patrol wizard for Halloween.
A safety, dude, I love that. I was just like, safety patrol.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm not sold on the idea yet, but that is certainly my initial thought for a Halloween costume. There's another idea, but I'm not sure. It sounds like we may not even have a Halloween party this year, Dad.
We'll get one. We'll just do it like right before Thanksgiving.
All right, we'll figure it out. I gotta go right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll just walk around in costumes.
So late after. You got to do it before. If you're all right, I am very particular about my holidays. For Christmas in particular, it's after Thanksgiving. Nothing before Thanksgiving. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Especially not the Charlie Brown Christmas album. I don't want to know.
People consider that one a holiday album, but I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue against
it.
It's
too sacred. It's too sacred for me. I also, with Halloween, if it's after Halloween, I'm probably not in the mood to dress up as an anime character, which is something that
Russell has
about.
A tradition everywhere. He just burns his Halloween costumes on November 1st.
Yeah, I go and burn everything that is spooky and scary because I'm not about it anyways. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm particular about that stuff, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. But I love the Safety Patrol Wizard costume that Jake has at the beginning, and then for some reason it's just completely gone. The next, like a frame over.
Frame later, he doesn't have like the safety cone on his head and the vest and everything.
Not at all.
Well, how did you feel about that? Like the fact that we've talked about Finn and Jake's adventures, and they are the knights of the Candy Kingdom and stuff. And today, this episode, if you can't tell, we're talking about Donny. But they're just walking around the grass going like safety patrol. They're just patrolling for villains and bullies and bad guys,
Yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought they were just like, it seemed like an imaginary game that they were playing for some reason, the heroes of Ooh. It didn't really feel like they were actually safety patrolling. But of course, Finn has his gear ready to go as soon as he has any ounce of like spider senses tingling in him.
Bad guy senses.
Yeah, but then Jake comes out as the Forest Prince this episode. Is that canon? What is the Forest Prince?
We have a huntress wizard later on, and she, I would say, if there was any ruler of the forest, there is like a magical being that is above huntress wizard.
Yeah, but
she is like kind of the one that all those like dark forests and evil forests, she's kind of like the protector, guider of those. So this is not canonical for Jake being the forest princess.
Could have been cool. I kind of wish he had like a Pokemon or Digimon like evolution into like some sort of a majestic deer.
Well, he had
creature.
His
he had all the
horns that came out at Donny in this one.
But that's what I was wondering. I was like, is there something? There's like another level to Jake's powers or something.
Well, there's a lot. We're gonna go. I mean, the more and more we get into Jake and Jake's canon and his backstory, we do just like learn a lot about his powers and like what that all means in the universe. Yeah. I was like, how do I not spoil drop anything there?
Yeah, anything that you need to spoil, you're welcome to, but no rush on spoils.
Rush on that. Well, in this episode, I want to give some shout outs. We're going to start doing just a quick intro to the episodes, given credit where credit's due. It was directed by Larry Leichlitter, written and storyboarded by Kent Osborne, Nikki Yang, and Adam Muto. We were going to see Adam Muto's name. He becomes one of the primary writers on the whole show later on. Like he's kind of like him and Pendleton were like the OG guys. But some fun things about this episode, Donny was voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who has voice acted a ton of things, but my preferred call out is he plays Jerome from Family Guy, the bartender.
Man, I'm not a big Family Guy guy.
Oh, rascal.
I think, like many of the people in the comedy entertainment world, a lot of people don't like Family Guy.
Yeah, it's definitely
I'd say most people, South Park, all those writers, like all of the like comedy writers. I'm not talking about like people our age. People love Family Guy.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I was watching something the other day saying like when South Park ripped on Family Guy, The Simpsons and King of the Hill both reached out to them in some way and were like, thank you so much for doing what no one wants to do and call them out on their show.
It's some cheap comedy blows, but it's entertaining, and that's what I put on when
of course
I don't want to think
it's funny.
But
I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know that character.
No. Okay. It's the bartender. He's got a really cool voice. It's basically like Donnie's voice, but like really cool and deep. Like it's like, hey, Peter.
So Donnie was not voiced by the guy who voices Jake the dog.
Not
it's a little similar, but
it's a little similar, but no, it's not.
Okay.
Also, some cool things about this episode. It was originally called An Ogre Named Donny, which I think is a cooler episode name, in my opinion, rather than just Donny. And we get BMO's first talking lines.
Yeah, I had that written down.
Yeah, I was so pumped. I was like, I was hanging onto the edge of my seat, waiting for us to get into BMO as a running character in the treehouse with them, And I think I don't know how they came to the conclusion that they were going to have BMO start talking, but I'm so pumped. We're now in BMO world.
Yeah, BMO world.
We're in BMO world.
So is the controller? Oh man, we're all over the place. Is the controller a part of BMO? Because the controller gets completely destroyed by Donnie, and I was like, did Donnie just break like BMO's arm or tentacle or something? I don't know.
No. We'll see. BMO has a ton of like plugins and USB ports and stuff like that. So anything like connected to BMO is not like a part of BMO.
Yeah, it's just like if you were wearing a crutch or something, or if you had a crutch or something on. I don't know. Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
it's an accessory.
It's like, if you broke your glasses, it wouldn't be like, oh, you didn't break part of Russell. You'd just be blind.
I would be upset though.
Yeah.
I would certainly be a little
Well, you
upset.
see BMO didn't have, what was it? The range of emotions or something like that. What was BMO's line?
Oh, I didn't write it down.
No, it was something of that sort, very robotical.
Yeah, but then he did have. He's like, but you're a big doo-doo head or something, So he still expressed some sort of an emotion, or he was able to emote in some way.
Yeah, I think that was the joke. Is that they make BMO super robotic all the time, but a whole character with emotions and feelings and a lot of psychosis, weird, trippy stuff. Because BMO has to sit. We go on all the adventures with Finn and Jake, and they bring up points that BMO is alone a lot of the time and has to burn a lot of time just chilling in the treehouse.
So he's kind of like the dog at your apartment when you go and work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and does something. Sleeps.
Not your dog. Well, I guess your dog. All dogs. I'm guilty.
All dogs.
Everybody who has dogs and goes and works and leaves your dog, what do they do? Just kidding.
Sleep.
I'm sure they sleep and then they just love you when you come home.
But
because you left them for the entire day. Just kidding.
I do feel guilty all the time. I get that, but
yeah.
So we come out of the forest on safety patrol.
Yeah,
and we got Donnie crushing all the house people.
Yeah, second ogre of the show.
Mm-hmm.
The first ogre was Shrek, and now we got
we're bringing Shrek
Donnie,
into the Adventure Time universe.
Grass ogre. Here. Yeah. I don't know. He was a bully, man. He's on the he's bully on the outside, but a sweetie on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Soft and grassy on the inside.
Yeah, he's blushing almost the entire episode.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be like some sort of like the writers saying like, hey, like he's, there's something more to him than just being a little bit of a bully. And you see how immediately he wants to befriend Finn as soon as they start wrestling, and they have this like kind of camaraderie over wrestling moves, and he's like, I could be like a ninja and get out of that one or whatever.
Yeah, well, and that's just, it speaks to Finn that like he goes in there and he is saving the house people, so he was like defeating a bad guy, but I
don't think he knows about it though. I think he's unaware. I think he's blissfully unaware of what he's doing for the good that he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, but it does show like there's a ton of self-awareness in Finn to know when like this ogre doesn't deserve to just like be sliced with a sword. And
yeah,
he does.
The
just need to be
problem
like,
is he's treated like an outsider.
Yeah,
is what Finn says.
Yeah,
And yeah, I have written down, it's like he's looking for friends. He needs some sort of an outlet for his energy, a way to be productively like express himself is what Donnie's issue is. And it kind of reminds me of the way that a baby's at, like a baby doesn't know how to speak. And so it will cry, until it has it. And it's just crying for everything. And essentially what Donnie is doing is he's expressing himself by being a jerk to people until Jake essentially finds a way to train him outside of that, or teach him, or have him learn to do other things via the songs, just like we did as little kids when we learned the alphabet, and when the days of the week and all that stuff, and little poems and rhymes for morals and stories for, hey, don't go around telling lies, So I don't know. I just saw Donnie as a really big kid who never quite grew up or had the ability to learn how to express himself. And for some reason has a leaf that covers his private parts.
Little crotch right there.
And he when he's like, I'm going to turn a new leaf, and he pulls it out of his pants.
He just starts flipping the leaf around in circles. He's like, I'm going to turn over this new leaf. I love that. That was like very, very subtle. And I was like, I hope that you caught that too.
What'd you think of the little tiny house people?
I thought it was interesting because they were, when the wolves come and attack them, you can see that they just have houses as like shells, and they're just kind of like soft mush on the inside.
Yeah, they're like snails.
So it made me think, I know when the bank guy busts open, you can still see he has bank on his head. That wasn't like part of the building part around him. But I was like, do these people get to choose like what they build their shell? Like how they build their shell? Do they get to choose what kind of house they want to be? Or are they born into their role in society?
I don't know, because they certainly, I almost wonder if they just, it's like maybe they just come across a house, they wear it because it fits, and then they kind of assume the personality of whatever building it is, because I love the line, I don't even know if I have it written down, but it's just like, oh, don't worry, all my assets are insured or whatever.
All my assets are insured.
Because he's the bank, and then the house jail is like, get in your tiny cell.
Get in your tiny cell.
to the big bully ogre. I don't know. I just thought that was, and then my favorite, I rewatched it like 3 or 4 times, the little house dog that hops across the screen. I mean, it's just like a fun thing that they did, but
yeah,
I just thought it was adorable.
Yeah, well, I was adorable. And then, if we wanted to spend a lot of time packing this, we could get into how this could be satirical to how we have to fit into society's mold of how we're born, and we have to, if we're born, into this banking world, we have to be a banker. Born into the clock world, we have to be a clock tower, whatever you want to be, but. We don't have, I was like, I don't really want to dive deep.
I certainly don't think any one of those guys are questioning their roles in society. They are walking around living in a field with an ogre. I don't know. Like, if you got wolves that are potentially going to just eat you, if you don't have a bully, you probably need to rethink where you're living.
But the funny thing is, Donnie seemed unaware of his place in this ecosystem. The houses seemed somewhat unaware of like their place in the ecosystem, because they were kind of like complaining on when Donnie was like shooting chicken eggs out of their butts at them, And so like
that was the tops.
That was your tops of the episode.
The chicken, the egg pooping power chickens. Yeah.
They're like under the armpit machine gun.
Yeah, they're all
Rambo
Reynolds
style.
All the chickens are Reynolds, and it just I don't know. I thought that was so good. Yeah, man. That's even better than the Legend of Zelda chickens, that if you hit them 3 times or whatever, they all out brawl attack you. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
What? Dude, that is such a classic Zelda trope. If in all the Zelda games, I think even the very first one, there are these little chickens. Actually, it might be the second one. I don't think there's chickens in the first. There are little chickens running around, and if you hit them enough times to anger them, no matter how many, like say there's 3 in the field there, like hundreds will just be swarming you and attacking you, and it is so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you can get them in. Sorry, this is so ranty. We don't rant in the show. In Breath of the Wild, you can get the chickens to attack enemies, which is just great.
Now, in that game, are the chickens for rent?
It seems like you have to collect them for Ocarina of Time for a task, and you're not renting them. But certainly when I grab one and I steal it from the pen and I go jump off a building and glide down with the chicken in my hands, I do feel a little bit like I owe something to the owner for letting me use their little chicken.
Oh yeah. I just thought it was funny. I was like, they just had to throw in that little line of, hey, don't mess my chickens up. Those are rentals.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites too, man.
But I mean, let's see. We get Donny away. Finn and Jake finally show him a little bit of like, we want you around, and take him back to the treehouse. And he immediately, like, even in the face of somebody being nice to him, still has these like tendencies to be a jerk. And I was like, do you think this is, maybe you've already expressed this with kind of how you said you felt like he was kind of a baby, like an underdeveloped child. But do you think it's just like, he is still, I thought about it more of like, he was being defensive. He was not letting his guard down around anybody because he hadn't had those relationships before. And so kind of he was like being a jerk to make sure that he was still like the cool guy. And like he didn't want to show that like he was really appreciative to Finn and Jake, you know?
Kind of like your classic bully archetype or something. I feel like, it was funny that he smelled too, because I'm like, don't bullies always smell, man?
Yeah, they just
always smell.
Always the last one in school to learn what deodorant was, I feel like.
Oh man, that's terrible. I'm sorry. We're becoming the bullies.
You can't bully bullies, man.
You could definitely bully bullies.
Yes, you can. I know.
A lot of bullies, they're bullies. They're never mind. But man, get too deep.
But so they take him to the house. They start teaching him the lessons. Man, there's so much stuff to unpack in this episode because I want to get like Jake wears spider silk,
little silk
pants
spun by pixies or something, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I think I can't remember if that's canonical or not, but I think it is.
Is that really something that's going to come back up later on? That seems like the most ridiculous thing.
I think if it does, then it's like way later on.
Yeah,
and they just like make a call back to the first season. So that was really awesome.
That's kind of awesome.
Finn goes out to help the villagers again, and the not werewolves, but the Y-wolves.
The Y-wolves, yeah.
And the funny thing was, I couldn't quite pin why they were called Y-wolves, besides like they explained things, you know?
Yeah.
I really wanted like a further deep dive into
spirits of inquiry.
Yeah, and maybe that's the point. Is like you're asking like, why are you a Y-wolf? And they're like, that's the point.
They're also my lovelies.
They're your lovelies of the episode?
Yeah.
Get into the lovelies, Mike.
Yeah, the Y-wolves are incredible. I don't know. There's something about them that I just find incredibly endearing. And to your point, I don't really know why. I mean, they're possessed by the spirit of inquiry. So they are incredibly intelligent on one hand, but then their intelligence is completely negated by their bloodlust, which also is so incredibly apparent, you know? So I don't know. It's just so great when he turns into like a professor. He's doing like the Asian squat where his heels are flat on the ground. And he gives an entire lecture about the local ecosystem and how it all works. And like, this is like after they've been, Finn jumps over and slams him down into the
to the old man well.
The old man well says, what is it? Slam bam in a can?
Slam bam in a can. I tell you, that's actually part of my like regular vocabulary.
Slam bam in a can.
Slam bam in a ham can.
But yeah, I don't know. And he talks about how Donny, as a jerk, he gives off a smell that it could kill them all, essentially, or is incredibly deadly. The obnoxygen gas. And then without Donny, the Y-wolves will grow uncontrollably. But at the top of the food chain is this freaking cosmic owl again.
Yeah, he's a part of a lot of different ecosystems. If like, I don't think we don't get an explanation again, like from the Y-wolves or any other character of how he super fits into everything. But he is a cosmic being, so he sits at probably a lot of different tops of food chains.
I kind of love it. He comes back out of nowhere. I mean, that's like one of the few things that they've brought back is this cosmic owl from the Ice Cane dream in the third episode, maybe. But yeah, I've written down the Cosmic Owl just comes out and just 360 no scopes all the Wolves. And then the ending of his lecture before he goes back to his uncontrollable bloodlust, the Wolf says, but it will be a pretty sweet ride up until that point. And what I loved about that sentence, and I think this is what really won me over for them to be my lovelies, is that just encompasses this entire podcast to me. You know, like, who knows where this is going or why we're actually doing this, you know? And like, I ask myself those questions a lot, I'm sure. Just in general about what I'm doing in Nashville and my career and all that stuff. And, but you know, he's just like so down for whatever his ending is going to be, which is going to be his utter demise by a cosmic owl and or potentially killed by oxygen gas. And he's just like, it's going to be a sweet little ride, though.
Yeah, that's the point, man. We'll get into lessons, but you just got to have a sweet ride, dude, along the way.
Yeah. Well, before we go too much deeper into all that stuff, let's get to our advertisement.
Yeah, let's send it. Billy Mays here with another fantastic product. Spiderweb Pants by Pixies Make Pants, Inc., DBA, The Bubblegum Lab Co. Have you ever wanted pants, but just loved being nude too much? Has your significant other ever shamed you for what you were wearing? If you answered yes to either of these questions, you need our brand new Spiderweb Pants. They are oh so thin.
I can hardly tell I have anything on.
It's because you basically don't. Plus, if your significant other says anything, just say, why don't you like the way I look? Am I not good enough for you? Yeah, that should work. So get yours today for like 18 schmeckles or something. I don't know. I don't know how much silk costs. Buy it today. Welcome back, fellow travelers.
Hello.
I wanted to try to do my best Russell Travelers impersonation.
Welcome. Welcome.
Fellow travelers.
Yep. It's funny. That was something like, I feel like when we first did that first episode, I did that little bit and I just was like, oh, you know, we might have something here.
I think we should stick with it. We'll just keep with it, man.
Well, the Travelers, I like the idea of, it wasn't the name that we were going for. You know, I think we miscalculated the fact that we don't really have that many travelers at this moment. And so no one suggested names. So for the time being, y'all be travelers. And let's just go ahead and say I had finally made that email that we've been dragging on for weeks now.
Nice.
So y'all can, if you got questions or concerns, don't send the concerns. But questions or things you want to ask us, just hit us up at nea.travelerslog@gmail.com.
All right. We're official, bro.
Yeah. If it was just a little bit more pro.
A little bit more pro. That's what we're going for. A little bit of professionalism, a little bit of lightheartedness.
Well,
I'm all about.
I got my see-through pixie made shorts on.
Bottom up.
So I'm ready to go.
Russell's just naked in here.
I was shirtless, last week? Or was that the week before?
Yeah, it was last week.
So now I'm not naked. I got pants on.
Just like Jake's never naked. He's always got pants on.
Definitely.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question because I was watching this episode and I felt very much like I'd watched similar cartoon episodes like this before. And I was like, there's so many episodes out there from like Fairly Odd Parents to SpongeBob and everything where you get like a bully character. And it's like a big, I guess kids relate to it really well. And it's a lot of like what kids go through. And so I just had to sit there and Google. I was like, what are other episodes with bullies in them that are like conflicting, where like the bully has some sort of conflict like about their bulliness? You know what? I dug through the vaults in my mind to remember Flats the Flounder from SpongeBob. Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, when he's in driving ed school with SpongeBob. And but I can't remember why he fits that.
He just felt like that kind of jerk bully where SpongeBob just kept trying to be nice to him. Definitely. And he just kept being a jerk and he was like, hey, I'm going to kick your butt.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole episode's about kicking his butt. And at the end, he gets humbled because he can't kick SpongeBob's butt because he's a sponge.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to throw that out there because I was like, it fits so well with cartoon show tropes. And like,
yeah, I almost wondered though, I was looking to see, is there a bully you can think of where, despite the fact that they were bullying, and we didn't prepare for this, I was wondering if the Flounder would go there. Despite that they were bullying, they were secretly or like inadvertently doing something good. Like there was just like this bully, like he's saving these houses despite bullying.
I tried to actually Google that because I was trying to go down that same road, and it was something, you know, like I just have this gut feeling that there's a Fairly Odd Parents episode where he like wishes the bully wasn't mean anymore, and because of that, like a worse bully comes up.
There probably is.
I'm pretty sure there's an episode where like, and at the end of the episode, he wishes he would just have the same bully again because it messed with the ecosystem of their school and the chain of bullying or whatever.
Or some sort of like I don't know why Codename Kids Next Door keeps popping up in my head on this dang podcast, but like when they take care of the Toilinator and then there's like another bully that was subdued because Toilinator's got it. And then they came in. Or I was also thinking of Ed and Eddie. What are the sisters called?
Oh, I'm not going to be able to pull that one out.
Tankers?
I don't know.
Is that a bad word? I don't know. That sounds weird. That doesn't sound good. I'm going to have to Google this real fast. Anyways, I'm literally Googling this while we record this podcast. I've got no internet here. Gosh dang it, Ned.
All good. It's okay. If we can't remember names of other shows, it's because we're not doing podcasts about those other shows. So.
But they bullied, our Ed brothers. But I can't think if there was ever a reason they were bullying that ended up like being for the good. It certainly didn't make them any more mature or grow up because they had girls that wanted to make out with them forcefully.
Forcefully. Well, that leads me to my theoretically speaking of this week, and I actually think I have a good one for you. But I want to get your thoughts. I want to see if I'm like grasping at straws here or this is just something way out of left field that I could be wrong about. But do you think that alongside with Magic Man being one of the like closer episodes here, that jerkiness somehow has its place in the Adventure Time universe, and then like somehow the writers are trying to convey this message that somehow being a jerk and somehow like not being a jerk, but jerks in the universe are somehow like magically / like theoretically holding the balance of ecosystems together. And because this is now like, I just felt like this was such a close episode with Magic Man. I was like, they were just on this kick of like, hey, let's just throw jerks in there and let them be jerks. And it's just how the world operates. I don't know. I just wanted to see.
I feel like you're trying to lead me somewhere. Is this Star Wars? What are we talking about?
No, this is just, I just noticed it. And I was like, this seems like a weird thing to note, but I just wanted to get your thoughts to be like, am I crazy to think that that's something that they were trying to convey?
I don't know. I honestly, it did not cross my mind. I just kind of figured it seemed like a softer bad guy. It seemed like, other than the dungeon episode, like they are setting up Finn to grow, to take on bigger and bigger challenges. The dungeon episode certainly seemed like this is a dangerous challenge that he probably shouldn't have been on. But other than that, every episode has kind of been here's a softball underhand pitch. Not softball. Softball is hard. T-ball underhand pitch is what I meant to say.
A coach pitch.
Coach pitch. Like here's a layup, that you can have. I didn't really think of it like they're throwing in jerks to balance out the heroism and hero deeds that Finn and Jake might be doing.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was funny that it was kind of like Magic Man wants them to appreciate how much of a jerk I am, and then Donny, they're like, you're a jerk, but you have to be a jerk to not have these wolves come and eat the house people.
It's a small ecosystem, though.
Yeah, I mean, this little
playing into
small circle, but is it a bigger expansion into like how the universe works? Like the Magic Mans of the world are somehow maintaining this weird balance of suppressing other evils by just existing in their.
I see what you're getting at. That makes more sense. Maybe that could be very possible. Man, talking about theoretically speaking, on a very similar note, mine would be more of I'll never forget you. That final line that Donny says to Finn as he walks away with a tear in his eye. It seems to me like Donny might be a turned jerk at this point. Now he understands his place in the ecosystem, and he's kind of being a jerk for the good of what's happening there, and also a little bit out of his anger for Finn and Jake.
I had the exact same point, so I think you're spot on. Is that he knows he has to be a jerk, and he looks at them with like wistful eyes and says like, I wish I didn't have to do this. I had so much more fun being civilized and being a nice guy and having friends than doing this, but
now I have to.
But now I have to.
But I think I was going to go even a step further, and I was going to say, remember my theory a while back about a great world war that might happen one day or whatever, this big battle where Finn's going to rely on all of his friends and his companions. This may happen, who knows, from the past. Yeah, the great ninja war, just like with all the Kages and the Hokage. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say that again on the podcast just to annoy you. No, but the gross. But no, I was like, and then we'll see Donny. But of course, Donny's not important, so it'll be just like a little tiny ogre, on the line of good.
On the line of the good, yeah.
But maybe he would have been a jerk, and he would have been on the line of bad in the future.
We see some people come into the universe that like are right in that whole like chaotic good, and Donny's a little bit of that. Donny's like that. He's chaotic good because it's this jerky chaos, and he has to kind of be like bad in order to be responsible. And I love actually like read a note too that in the original storyboard, Finn was supposed to use an item called the steel-toed boot of responsibility to make Donny return to the village. And so the story writers were on that same theoretical speaking vibe of going,
without a doubt,
it's his responsibility, and he's matured enough. And I love how you brought that note in at the beginning about him being kind of this like underdeveloped child, like not having, knowledge of the world and how relationships work, and that this is a big step, and he goes full 180 responsibility here.
Man, Penn Ward, and who was the other writer of this one?
One of the storyboard writers was Adam Muto, and I always like calling him out
for being nerds. What was the boot of responsibility? Come on,
that is so Dungeons boot of responsibility.
That is so D&D.
I know.
Welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
It's okay. I'm with them. I'm calling them a nerd, but only because I'm there.
Steel-toed boots of Chipotle on your feet.
We both had Chipotle tonight. Funny enough, man. It's funny. My lesson, just real quick, is that Finn will betray you just to save lives. That jerk.
He'll send you out to like, well, he makes so many sacrifices to like just have U be a good place, and so Donny kind of falls under the chopping block here.
Yeah, he was betrayed by Finn, but he did it for the greater good, I suppose.
I suppose. Yeah, it's a bummer. He's like he wouldn't be my lovely of the episode necessarily, but my heart went out to him.
The Wild Wolves were just so freaking cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And BMO's here, so BMO's got to have BMO as a lovely for sure.
BMO's got a gold star. We mentioned it a little early on. I didn't want to just hop into my lovely segment, but I definitely wrote down that give BMO give that lovely a gold star because he deserves it.
He's gonna be like, I'll do it now. He's kind of he's forever lovely.
Yeah.
I remember you kind of saying like Jake is kind of your forever lovely, and we don't have to like give him, but we get the gold star. We can give him gold star lovelies.
Yeah, I don't know if Jake could do wrong for me. I mean, especially if he's the forest prince or whatever that was, which obviously he's not. But dang it, that's a cool idea.
And he's obviously like he basically kind of helps raise Finn, and so he's got this whole like I can teach like people how to function in society, and Jake really teaches him empathy, and that's so hard, man. That's so hard to teach people how to feel empathetic, and Jake does it in like a day.
Yeah.
So props to Jake, man.
Well, talking about rules. Do you mind if I get into some musical rules that we learned about?
Just songs.
Well, I'm not going to bore everybody with a whole bunch of tunes, but I did write a couple musical rules just because it was such an important part of this episode. I felt like that's what did Donny good, or got Donny good, essentially, was him learning via music. So I thought maybe I could share a couple musical rules that I used to have saying to me when I was a kid that I definitely didn't make up yesterday while preparing for this. The first one is, I just want to know, like, Jake says there's a rule for laundry. That is one that I need. If you have that one in your back pocket, because laundry to this day perplexes me. I just throw everything in, put it on cold rinse, like it's chaos. It really is chaos with my laundry.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who was born after the year like 1990 that splits whites and darks anymore.
I put them, it's always normal rinse. There's like a whole bunch of options, man. I've never done delicates. I don't know.
Society has passed the need for that kind of segregation.
Okay.
Michael, don't get us canceled.
A running joke with my Atlanta friends is whenever I go back, I'm like acting like I'm going to move to Atlanta. I'm like, so do y'all have any good dry cleaners? I always ask about their local dry cleaners. Anyways, musical rules. So the first one is brush your teeth to the right and left. Your dentist will be sure to spot what you missed. So pretty simple. Like that's one that I was always saying. I'm trying to get the rhythm's going to be tough for some of these because I haven't heard them since I was a little kid. The next one is look all around while driving a car. Hit more people, get a bonus score. That's another one that's
good advice.
My driver instructor actually told me that one. He was a cop.
Sounds like you learned how to drive on GTA 5.
I don't know. And the the next one is work real hard, grow your 401k. You'll retire when you're 80 because Social Security is a flawed system that is meant for an ever-growing population that would pay for the old, but we didn't quite calculate that one right. By the way, it's harder to purchase a house with the median income being than it's ever been before. And just because you have a college degree doesn't mean that someone's just going to hand you a job with a livable wage after college. But that's okay because, well, I don't know.
Yeah. That's like everything you learn in your 20s, all wrapped up into one easy to learn song, right?
Easy to learn song. I think I might have dropped the pitch just once or twice during that, but
on purpose.
Yeah, totally on purpose, and not because I just wrote that yesterday.
This stylistic choice, man.
Yeah, I think that one was taught to me by my econ professor in college. Actually,
yeah, that's actually good advice.
There's no advice there.
I ain't gonna be seeing you in that money.
Well, work hard and grow a 401k because. Yeah, there's no money for you.
Because everything else is bleep out the word.
Bleep blop. Man, and then I got a little bit of beef. I don't know if you have beef this week.
I don't think I got beef.
It's just with bullies.
Just with bullies?
Yeah,
I think, we all got beef with that.
Y'all suck. Don't be a bully. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you.
Just eat it.
Just eat it.
Like Magic Man blowing up in the sky. Eat it.
Just eat it.
I was going to ask you too on that bully topic. Like, it doesn't have to be a bully necessarily, but talking about non-empathetic people that are hard to deal with. Like, did you ever have anybody in your life? Middle school probably is the best example to pull from, just because I knew a person or two, no name dropping here, where they just were loud and obnoxious and kind of jerky to a lot of people on purpose for the sake of being funny and getting attention. And then, like, every time I worked to pull them in or be inclusive and be like, people don't like it when you act this way, like, be friends with us. And they would still kind of hold us at that arm's jerky length. And it wasn't fun to be around them because they wouldn't like shed down that defensive barrier, And like, wanted to see if you had experiences like that.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I honestly, from the top of my head, I can't really think of one necessarily. I had a neighbor who, I think he had some anger stuff growing up, and it took him a while to get past that. And because of it, he kind of was on the outskirts of our close friend group for quite a while there. And me and him had a couple of small run-ins, and I'm pretty sure I had a couple Pokemon cards stolen from me, but I might be missing the point of exactly what you're saying. But like, as far as like someone who, he wasn't a bully, he just had some stuff that he had to work through. And as he got older, as we got to middle school, like, we spent a lot of time playing Halo together, and like and those two best friends of mine moved away, and we became pretty good friends, sort of a thing. But no, I don't know. Off the top of my head, it's hard to think of an example.
That's a good example. I think that's a great example. And I asked you that because I think that Donnie's a hard character to relate to or understand if you haven't had a person in your life that has been kind of this, like, I've tried to bring you in and I want you to be, to wrestle me. I want you to be a fun person to play with, but there's just like certain characteristics that like you have to mature or else I cannot hang out with you, you know?
Yeah. There were a couple of things too. I mean, thinking about that friend, like, I think that was a time period where there was some mental things that people could have that we didn't really have definitions for, understanding of what they meant. And later on it came out that was a big part of what was going on. But, you know, like I said, like we got past that as we grew up, as we all matured, you know, and there weren't Pokemon cards to be had. I definitely want my Blastoise back, by the way. If you're listening.
It's worth a lot of money now.
No, I'm just messing, man. He's a good guy. But yeah, it was definitely, that's about as close as I can come up with.
No,
right
I mean, I think that's a good, and I think that's why you and I have similar feelings about Donny, that you're not like, he's just a jerk and then he becomes lame and then he's just a jerk again, that we really were able to break down and digest his character as a well-written and like a really good storyline of internal conflict there.
I can't help, whenever we talk about being a jerk, I can't help but think that somewhere down the line, like, I'm sure I was a jerk to somebody. You know, like I think that's always been something that is not a fear, but certainly something that like I just really hope I didn't, no one saw me, because I had jerks, you know, like we all had jerks, but like I hope no one saw me as their jerk,
as their Donny,
you know. And I don't know if that was the case, or I don't think that was the case, because I was pretty much like pretty pacifistic, like anti-aggressive, like don't want to be in a fight, like anything I can do to not argue with somebody, I'm about.
But I mean, and it I guess that's pacifistic too, but like, you know, maybe, but like, you know, John, it's not just about like Donnie's bullying, like physically shooting butt eggs out of chickens at people. It's also like the words. The one that caught me was like when they go into the tree house, he's like, man, this is a cool clubhouse. Like, when I build mine, it's going to be so much better. And like, I was like, like, just don't, man. But
we just like, oh man, of all the people you've come into contact with, of all the things you've said, I'm sure you rubbed someone the wrong way. You know, like somewhere along the way, unfortunately, there might be someone on my Instagram that sees me post about this podcast and they'll never listen because they're like, why would I give him the time? You know, sort of thing. And that sucks to think about. You know?
It does.
I hope it's not the case.
Yeah, it does. That bugs me too. Even like when I meet people for the first time. Yeah. And I'm like, I hope when I leave and I'm like, I hope I didn't like say anything to that degree of like, did they just think I was being an a-hole, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I know like, from a different standpoint of people that like, I just didn't get along with, that like, I was probably more jerky too, but just because we didn't mesh, and it was like a mutual not meshing. Yeah, I think is one thing versus like I want to be your friend, but you're a jerk to me kind of a thing.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
that's good food for thought, though.
Yeah, definitely. It's something we can all think about. You know, if there's anyone we need to apologize to, maybe we'll do that this week.
Email us up at our nea.travelerslog@gmail.com.
Yeah, give me your beef. Russell, you sucked.
Give me your beef.
You sucked in high school. Let me know. Let us both know how terrible we are.
nea.beef@gmail.com.
No, that's not associated with this podcast. nea.travelerslog@gmail.com. That would be awesome. I'd love to get non-bully related, or it could be bully related.
Online bully me, man.
Yeah, well, no, because we've had a couple of comments on TikTok that I'm like, that is
uncalled for,
uncool, uncalled for, not a part of our culture. You know, I apologize. We don't have this community yet, so I think the people that are coming across us, and even once we build it, we're gonna have jerks in our comments, and I hate that. But it's just, I guess, a part of growing a podcast.
Just got to block out the haters.
I know. So, audience out there, y'all know who the real travelers are. Yeah, y'all know who the real ones.
The OGs.
All right, I'm not gonna go that far. Thank y'all so much for following and reviewing us, checking out our podcast. Go absolutely murder that like button on everything we post.
Fingers bleeding.
Just absolutely choke it to death. I don't know. That was so violent.
I was like hesitated where there was some anger in that.
That was so violent. Instagram at neverendingadventurepodcast, TikTok at neverendingadventurecast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Again, it's #no Ned season. where my travelers at that aren't Ned. Blah, 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 blah. I have only done one tweet with that, but I'll get back to it.
On Twitter.
Ned Beef on Twitter. Yeah. And thanks for coming out.
Yeah. We love you guys.
See y'all next week.